All right, so the purpose of this video is to go over those three basic calculating skills that we need for test 2, which are calculating bond prices, calculating bond yields, and then calculating holding period returns. So I've set up a little problem that says 3 years ago you bought a bond for $915. That bond pays a 10% coupon rate annually. Today you're going to go ahead and sell the bond when rates in the market for similar bonds are yielding 11%. So what were yields to maturity when you bought the bond? At what price would you sell that bond then today? And what was your holding period return? So the nice thing about bonds is it reminds us the importance of drawing timelines. So let's go ahead and attack that first question by drawing a timeline that relates to when you were to purchase the bond. So at purchase, what the bond would have looked like was that bond would have required a $915 original investment, and then over the course of 10 years, you would have received payments equal to 10% of the coupon rate of $1,000, which means you're getting $100 a year each and every year for 10 years. Also, you would get that principal or par value of $1,000 at the end. So looking at our basic timeline point of view then, we can see that what it is that we're trying to solve for is R, or yields to maturity. So we can go ahead then and use our basic time value of money solvers to say at $915 negative with a $1,000 future value and payments of $100 over the course of 10 years, then let's go ahead and solve for rate. As I'm typing this in, you should be asking yourself if you understand the basic relationships between bond prices and yields. We see that this bond currently has a price that's less than its par, or $1,000, which means that the yield to maturity should be greater or less. Survey says if we make this thing into a nice little decimal, we'll see that yields to maturity for bonds that are similar would have been greater at 11.47%. That's what drove the price below 1,000. Alternate bonds are offering higher coupon rates, therefore they're more desirable, so this bond becomes discounted. So now the second part of the problem says, at what price would you sell the bond today? Well, let's go back to a timeline then and see what we're being asked for here. So what would you know? So today you wake up and you know that a few things have changed. The first thing that has changed is that we now have 7 years remaining. The second thing that we know has changed is that the market rates have changed over time. But the things that have not changed are the basic payments that the bond offers you, your $100 annually, and the other thing that has not changed is that promise of the $1,000 par value. So again, orienting this on a timeline, we can see pretty quickly that we're going to be asked to solve for present value, which we also know in bond parlance to be price. So let's go ahead and wire those things in here. We have the same $1,000. We have the same $100. Rates are now 11% when time is 7 years. Alt HNG, enter. And now let's go ahead and solve for present value. And so again, as I'm solving for this, you should be asking yourself, do I think that the outcome will be greater or lesser than the par $1,000? And as we go to hit enter, the price should still be less than $1,000 because that bond's coupon rate at 10% is still less than the 11% you can get elsewhere. So then the last question would be, what would be your holding period return? And as a reminder, holding period return says, I don't care how much time passed, just tell me how well I did as an investor, which is the old buy low, sell high. So we ask ourselves, at what price did we originally buy that bond? and it was $915. When we went to sell, at what price did we sell that bond? $952. So you can see we made $35-ish just as a trader. But additionally, over the course of 3 years, you would have received 3 coupon payments of $100 each. So you would have gotten 300 equals 3 times the 100, $300 in payments as well. So the formula says take the price at which you sold minus the price at which you bought. Add in all the cash flows you received and divide that into the original price at which you bought. And now we can see that our holding period returns for that bond, not thinking about time, but just overall performance, is just less than 37%.